Some of them are a little bit. Yes, please. Some are kind of rough, some are soft, some are, let's see, one by Molly. You can try touching this one. This one's not so much soft. All the hair's straight up.
I would like to measure.
They all look So different plants have different shapes of their trichomes. Yes, feel free to get up and move around because each table has a different plant function. So different plants have different shapes of trichomes, and some plants will even have different trichome shapes on different parts of the plant. So they'll have one type of trichome on the stem, and they'll have a different type of trichome on the leaf. And sometimes they'll have multiple types of trichomes even on the same leaf. So interspersed.
What is a trichome?
Trichome is a little hair that's on the leaf. And it's actually outgrowing from the epidermis. So an epidermal cell will grow out from the leaf. And sometimes it's just a single cell. Sometimes it can be multicellular, growing out from the epidermis. So that's what's making these leaves hairy. And some of them may actually feel smooth. That's because the trichomes aren't that long. They're short. And on all the tables you'll see there's magnifying glasses. So if you're having trouble seeing the trichomes, feel free to use the magnifying glasses to have a look.
Are there any kind of roots in there, or are they just simply the shape of the plants sticking out?
No roots.
No, the roots are all inside the soil. So the things that are sticking out from the leaves, those are simply outgrowing from the epidermis. Those are the trichomes, the little hairs. So today oh yes.
Sorry, I was just asking a question. Are trichomes only coming out of the leaves? What about fuzzy stems?
Yes, there are trichomes on the stems. And on the petioles. And later on we're going to talk about trichomes on the seeds. You can get trichomes on the petals, trichomes all over the flowers. Trichomes on the fruits. Many of you may have already had some kiwi, some okra. Those had trichomes on them. So I figured we would start today talking about all the different shapes of trichomes, and then we'll go into function. So the simplest trichome is just that, a simple trichome. And it essentially looks like a hair. And for those, the best plant to look at is a tomato plant, specifically on the stem. So there's one tomato plant back there, and there's another one here. We can pass this around.
Yeah, we don't have to stay in our seats for this one.
Nope. So you can pass this down that way and pass this that way. And you can look right along the stem and see the simple trichomes coming out of such hairs.
Someone asked me earlier, why try is because of the
So the first part word trichome means hair, and the full word trichome in Greek means to make a hair.
not try.
No.
Maybe I was wrong. I got mixed up.
Yeah, the Greek words to make or grow or to have a hair. So a simple trichome looks just like a hair. Simple trichomes can also have a little hook at the end. And we'll talk later on about the special function that hook trichomes have. If I forget to tell you what they do, remind me. The next more complex type of trichome is just like that, except you can get 2 or even 3 coming out. So those are called 2-armed, 3-armed, 4-armed, 5-armed trichomes. And an example of those are the kalanchoe. There's one of these right here. This has 3-armed trichomes. So there's one of these plants here to look at with the little magnifying glasses, and there's another one here. This is a kalanchoe.
I feel like Sherlock.
It definitely enhances the experience.
There's a leaf down here that has fewer, and you can see.
Yeah, actually, listen to Kathy.
So the leaves down here are easier to see because there's fewer chromosomes on them.
Oh, yeah, through the smaller. Oh, yeah.
Sorry. So I noticed some of you are looking at cotton. This big cotton plant here in the middle. This one has the next type of trichome. So if you want to get a little bit more complex than say the 2-armed or the 3-armed, as soon as you have a trichome that has more than 5 arms coming out of the base like this, we start calling it a stellate trichome. Stellate meaning star. And I have some images of what that looks like close up. You want to pass those around?
The spawn normally brown, and you think it's white, and it's
Those are, yeah, those are kind of
is that what cotton? I don't know.
I think it, but when you're looking at the cotton for the stellate trichomes, make sure you're looking at the leaves. The ones on the seeds are actually simple trichomes. This is a close-up of what the leaves look like. So cotton leaves look like this. Can see? You want to see? Those are the stellate trichomes on the cotton leaves.
Yeah? Could I use that for cover? Oh, they took the calendar.
Yeah, she took it away.
Do you need a calico?
Yeah, I can get there.
Mine.
Oh, yeah. So what you want to do is we'll hold the leaf and look at it and look at that, where it's curling over.
Yep.
And then you can see it against the darker background.
Also, I think the pendulums have some too that look nice. And the underside is better, the abapsine side.
Okay.
We're gonna try to.
Find a really.
Yeah, like the underneath of the leaves.
Yeah.
Flip it up and then use the magnifying glass. That looks really hard.
This one's not super airy.
So the next one that after the stellates, next we have a branched one. That looks like this. It's different from the stellate in that the branches come off along the axis. And the one, so I'll pass these out to you guys to look at. Yes, lamb's ear has branched trichomes. I'm gonna pass it over there. So we have lamb's ear for you to touch. This is what lamb's ear looks like. Lamb's ear has branched.
Which one is that?
Right here.
Oh.
So there's leaves you guys have passed around in the field. They actually feel a little bit like fleece, like it might be a blanket. And actually when I was collecting them earlier, they were kind of wet and I almost felt like I needed to squeeze them out. They hold so much water. Like you would squeeze out a fleece.
The kind that has those
The branch. Wow. So see if you can even scrape a few of them off.
Now what's it? I don't know how to use the microphone.
I know, but this is artistic. It's gonna be kind of time in.
But they still print.
I don't know. What do you see? I should have brought the camera.
Are you guys ready for the next type?
Yeah.
The next is glandular, where there's a stalk and a gland at the top. And I have images of those for you to look at. And many of the plants in the tables are actually glandular. The stalk can either be really long or short. One for this table.
So the glandular ones tend to make lots of something the gland?
Yes, inside the gland is some kind of secondary metabolite, some sort of compound that can get released when you press on the leaf. So
So anything.
a lot of these plants, when you touch them, if there's a smell, that's because they have the glandular trichomes. So the geranium, the petunia, there's a geranium on every table, there's a petunia on every table, the lantana by you, geranium, the sage. The tomato that I showed you guys that has the simple on the stem, has glandular on the leaves. Leaves have glandular. So you know when you touch tomato, how you get the yellow stuff on your leaves, the smell that comes from the glandular trichomes. We still have the tomatoes in there. Yeah.
Color and everything.
Yeah, have a look at the glandular trichomes.
I got a lot of atoms. It's such a. Let's say
Well, now I know. I've never seen myself in that before.
The difference will be different from the other.
Right, but they still have simple trichomes and glandular. And simple trichomes are used for
So you took a
other.
picture of a plate.
So also have to look at the
Yeah, it's still
Plectramys.
live camera.
Different species of Plectramys have different smells. So this one I think smells like oregano. There's another one that smells like Vicks.
It does.
No. The oregano is, where's the oregano today?
And
Oh,
you
yeah.
use your glandular as well?
Yes.
Yeah. This is real. This is.
One of the
So I bought
botanics
those nice
did a
like
poster
camera
on
stand.
that particular Plectramys that smells like oregano. And you did your poster on Vicks.
I did.
Wow. You wanted to be on Vicks, not Vicks.
Wow.
Because I was plant technology. not
That's
plant
right.
technology.
What did I do for?
That was like a big on the cover.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's definitely gonna go into my grant application.
No, look at Science magazine.
You want to see people getting interested in something?
Yeah, look at this little guy.
Yes. You know the stuff?
With passion.
With passion. Right out of the home.
I wanted to get that.
Did you see anything? Did you see it on this one? It was
Yeah,
good.
it's the base.
If you
Where is it on the, they're on the stem, aren't they? On the-
no here.
Yeah,
What I
they're
got.
on the stem.
You go crush
Oh, yeah, there might be some on this
smell,
there.
but there must be some sort of legend.
Oh yeah,
Right, how are you going to get smell?
against the dark background. I
That's
think
why.
it might not be glandular on the stem. It might be simple.
Short of having.
But on the leaf, it's definitely
Right, if
glandular.
I did it next second, then I would be.
It has a.
She's going to tell us what it is, tell us different comments.
Yes.
It's gonna be tough without a microscope.
Yeah, this is just, it's just.
Ah,
But there are mints.
You can smell it.
There.
Yeah, it's definitely slowly.
You guys ready for another one?
sure.
So have you guys heard of stinging nettle? A stinging trichomes. So a stinging nettle, the trichomes are kind of like the simple guys, but at the top there's a little round bit. And if that round bit gets knocked off, this little point is kind of sharp and it can hurt us or it will herbivores. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit when we get to the function portion of the talk. But keep in the back of your mind, stinging nettles.
So we'll pass around the stinging nettles. And,
We don't have stinging nettles, sorry you guys. And then the last one, scales. So these are common in Spanish moss. And there should be Spanish moss on the table over here for you guys to look at.
That one.
Is this a multi-cell or is this a single cell?
That's a good question.
How does it make that shape?
It kind of.
It does. Oh, we have some of this.
check that out.
pretty wild.
There's some over there too.
It's just like a sheet of wax.
It does.
Doc plans, what are doc plans? Doc. Do they have?
You're not gonna do that.
Do they hear it? I only ask because you're
Maybe some.
Oh, because when I was in England, I got stung by saying that, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
And I went crazy. And the people I was with, we were on a trail, and they said, here, I'll cure it. They grabbed some dock leaves. They always grow near each other. Like that, and went away. So it just,
So some chemical in one leaf was able to get
exactly,
rid
they
of
go
irritation
together.
of
It's
the other.
like nature says we're going to extinguish one, I'm going to cure it with the other. It's, you know,
Huh, fascinating.
They say that poison ivy and the wild impatiens have the same relationship.
what's the other one?
Well, touch me not. You know what that is? Yeah, jewelweed. But my contention is that in the case of poison ivy and jewelweed, it's more about just using some kind of the moisture in the jewelweed, which is full of water, helps to get the oil off your skin. I don't think it's really a curative. But I don't have.
That ruins everything.
No, that's just my observation.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about all the different types, the major types at least. So now I'd like to talk about function a little bit. In my mind, one of the most critical things that the trichomes are doing for the plant is protecting the plant. And I'd like to go back to the glandular trichomes. So we talked about how inside the gland there's a chemical. So the plants are using chemical warfare to prevent herbivores. They're trying to prevent attack by either insects or little animals to keep them from eating them. So these chemicals, secondary metabolites, in some plants are made and kept inside the leaves. But then in order for the herbivore to be exposed to those chemicals, the leaf would have to be eaten, right? The cells would have to be damaged. But the plants that have these chemicals in the glandular trichome, now it's on the surface of the leaf, just being brushed up just a little bit. You've all been touching these. You haven't, hopefully, damaged too many leaves. And those chemicals have been released. And the smell of those chemicals, well, to us, we like that smell, right? I like the smell of oregano, I like the smell of rosemary. The herbivores don't like that smell. So as soon as they smell that, hopefully they're deterred from eating that plant. So some of these chemicals are also slightly toxic or even more so toxic to the herbivores. And if the herbivores continue eating on that plant, they'll get a stomach ache or they may actually die. So in some cases it's just preventative, in some cases it actually is detrimental to the herbivore. Another way the trichomes can fight against being eaten is with the hooks. So the simple trichomes that form little hooks. You can imagine if you're a little insect, you're crawling along the leaf, and the leaf has a whole bunch of these hooked trichomes. The insects can actually get impaled by the trichomes. And that, it's rather damaging to the insects. They would actually survive that. And then finally, the stinging nettle. That's the combination of the chemical warfare plus the getting impaled. So as soon as that tip of the stinging nettle is broken off, the insect gets impaled by the trichome. And then there's chemicals that come from the plant leaf that shoot through that trichome into whether it's the insect or the herbivore or us if we touch a stinging nettle. Those chemicals go into our skin and then we get the irritation and hopefully never touch a stinging nettle again. So stinging hairs are a combination of the chemical warfare and the mechanical of the hooked trichomes. So, plants are using the trichomes to protect themselves against insects. There are some plants that have taken their trichomes the extra step, and they actually use the trichomes to hunt down insects. So all of you are probably familiar with carnivorous plants. We have some of those here for you today to look at by each of the tables. We have Venus flytraps. So probably all of you know how Venus flytraps work. There are little